Welcome back to the second video in our series where we're teaching you to make $10,000 per month as a web designer. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what I had to do to reach my next benchmark of $7,000 per month. Now, a lot of you might be thinking that all it takes to reach these higher benchmarks is to bring on more clients. And this couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, without the frameworks that I'm going to teach you in this video, bringing on more clients is only going to increase your stress, overwhelm your business, and could result in you making even less money than you were before. So I'm going to be covering everything that you need to do to reach that next benchmark. Plus, towards the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why you might need to fire around 80% of your current clientele. And I'll be explaining more towards the end of this video. Now, there's a popular saying that says 80% of your input results in 20% of the output or the results. And honestly, this couldn't be more true than in the world of running a web design business. And many of you might know this as the 80-20 rule. What this means is, typically speaking, around 80% of your clientele results in about 20% of your monthly income, leaving the other 20% of your clients to account for the rest. When I got to the point where I was making $5,000 per month, I felt like there was absolutely no way to scale beyond that because I was so overwhelmed. I was super busy and there wasn't a spare minute in the day for me to do anything else that could help me start making more per month. I didn't have time to bring on more clients. I didn't have time to even work on the projects that I currently had because that 80% was taking up all of my time and I hadn't left enough room for the clients that were actually going to pay me really well. For lack of a better term, that 80% was just dead weight for my business that was holding me back from making the money I wanted to make and also having the time that I needed to look for opportunities to scale my business. Now, it wasn't just the fact that they weren't paying me as much. Most of these clients were ones that I had landed early on when I started my business. And yes, they were lower budget clients, but even worse, these typically were the clients that were calling me 10 times a week. They were asking for tons of extras. There was a ton of scope creep. And not only that, but they just were resulting in much higher stress levels than even my clients that were paying 10 times as much as them. And it was a really bad situation for me. So I'm curious to know down in the comments, what are the things that your clients are doing that cause you the most stress and anxiety? So I knew at that point in my business that the worst thing that I could do is try to bring on new clients because I wasn't going to have the time or the energy or the ambition to serve them well enough to make sure that they were happy clients. Now, when you reach this point, you need to start thinking a lot more about time frame and scope of your projects rather than just taking on projects based on the fact that they're right there in front of you and they are paying an okay amount of money. Because by doing this, you're going to be blindly overflowing your funnel and it's going to make it impossible to continue to grow. In other words, you need to be smart with your time. So if you're put in this situation, here's what I recommend you do. First, you're going to want to determine the clients that are causing the most stress, the most anxiety, and the ones that aren't paying enough to make it worth your time. Now, you've got two options with these clients. You can either, one, upcharge them to a rate that makes it worth your time to deal with these clients, or two, you're gonna need to fire these clients and open up more space to take on clients that make it worth your time. Now, obviously, option one is going to be the better option, but both of these options are going to be better than continuing to serve this client and allow them to suck all of your time and all your energy for a rate that's not worth it. This is like the Chinese finger trap of running a business. It may seem counterintuitive to push your fingers together when you're trying to get free, but the only way to give yourself the space to break free is by taking a step back. So the same goes with your web design business. It might seem counterintuitive to fire a couple of your clients, but if you can fire one client that opens up a spot and the time and the energy to take on a client that's charging 10 times as much, I promise you it's going to be worth it. Now, with that being said, I don't suggest that you drop all of your clients at the same time. For obvious reasons, you're not going to want to dump 80% of your clientele on the same day. But what you can do is slowly drop these clients over a period of several months, and this is slowly going to open up the time for you to find better clients that, again, are going to pay you more, be less stressed, ask for less, and it's going to be much, much easier to maintain the amount of income you're making or even increase that while not adding any additional time. And in most cases, you're going to be able to cut the time down significantly that you're spending on each one of these clients. So now that we've talked about cutting those more difficult clients, the next thing that we need to talk about is accelerating the client process to ensure that you can run them through your pipeline in a reasonable amount of time. In our last video, we talked about timelines and how to make sure that we stick with the timelines that we set We also talked about setting expectations with the client, but speeding up your execution and delivery is super beneficial for a number of reasons. Number one, your clients are going to be thrilled that they're getting their projects done faster. Number two, you're not going to get too backed up with client projects that you don't have any time or space or energy to look for new clients and to land those new clients. And number three, you're going to maintain consistency and predictability with your schedule. So if your timeline for a website build is 4 weeks, you need to do everything in your power to make sure that you finish that project at or before that deadline. This is no longer just a little side gig that you can kind of fly by the seat of your pants and just let projects roll out as long as they take, but you have to be in control of your schedule and in control of these projects, because if you're not, it's going to be nearly impossible to anticipate what you're going to need to do to bring on new clients and make sure that all of your clients are being serviced to their satisfaction so they don't fire you. So with that being said, here are my top tips for speeding up your client projects. Number one, you need to decrease your client interactions and reserve those for scheduled time slots. Number two, you need to set a precedent that you're not going to respond to a text, a call, or an email immediately. You need to make sure that when you're focused on a project, you're focused only on that project, and any other interactions or calls can wait until your scheduled times. By doing this, you're going to make sure that your clients have a good expectation of how often they're able to contact you, and they're going to get a really good idea very quickly that, hey, he's busy with my project or someone else's project, and he doesn't have the time to just shoot the bull every single day and chat about my project. Number three, you need to set specific expectations and make sure that there is no scope creep unless it's paid for. And number four, you need to eliminate all points of the project that could potentially result in a holdup. This means setting a deadline on all content, using stock photos instead of waiting for a photographer, and even getting access to a domain early on in the process, so by the time you're ready to launch, you're not going to have to wait for that access. So the moral of this video is cut the fat. Cut out any tasks or clients that are going to be sucking your time, sucking your energy, sucking all of your ambition, and open up that space for clients that are going to be worth your time. This is the only way that you're going to be able to set up your business and your schedule properly to be able to scale past the $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 per month. If you don't do this, I promise you it is going to be much more difficult to see a predictable increase in your monthly revenue. So if you found this video helpful at all, make sure to smash that like button down below. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video where we're going to be talking about everything that it takes to reach that $8,000 per month mark. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.